It's time to start thinking about premium tax credits for 2026. Hi, it's financial planner Sean Mullaney. Let's discuss. And I'm filming this in mid-May 2025. It's a time of flux. Right now, Congress is in the beginning of what I think might be a long and convoluted process that likely results in a large tax bill being passed this year. There are no guarantees on that. But it is time, I think, to start thinking about one aspect that in theory could be in that bill, but I highly doubt it. And that's the premium tax credit for 2026. For the last 5 years, we've had this temporary suspension of the 400% of federal poverty level cliff at which you lose all premium tax credits, and that can impact early retirees, the self-employed. In theory, Congress's tax bill could include a temporary or permanent extension of that suspension of the cliff, but I highly doubt it. And so now is the time to start thinking about tactics we can employ to qualify for a premium tax credit or increase a premium tax credit. And before I go forward with my tactics, I do want to say all is not lost. There were plenty of Americans who got to early retirement who were successfully self-employed in the year 2020 or before, meaning the premium tax credit matters, but it's not the be-all and end-all, right? Early retirement is still possible in a world with the 400% of federal poverty level cliff. Same thing with self-employment. So with that said, let's go to the first tactic I really like to qualify for or increase premium tax credits, and especially for the early retiree, it's taxable accounts in early retirement. I've done videos on the channel about just how lightly taxable accounts can be taxed in retirement. And so I think that's going to be a really good planning tool to get to early retirement and to fund those premium tax credit years largely with taxable accounts. Taxable accounts generate capital gains. When we sell some mutual funds, say, to fund living expenses, our taxable income isn't the amount we realize in the sale, it's the amount of gain, right? We get to subtract our basis. So that can be very powerful in terms of keeping the income low and getting a higher premium tax credit. The second thing to think about is asset location. I sometimes use the term tax basketing. It's this idea of, well, we want to hold, say, just for example, bonds, international equities, domestic equities, and we have Roth, we have taxable, we have traditional. Where among those three asset locations should we put each type of investment? And I'm a big fan of those bonds, putting those into traditional deferred accounts. That keeps that interest income off our tax return, potentially upping our premium tax credit. And holding domestic equities in taxable accounts, not that they can't be held in other asset locations as well, but putting those, having the taxable accounts be mostly domestic equities, that keeps income real low because yields today are so tiny on domestic equities, particularly domestic equity index funds, but it doesn't really matter for the most part, right? You got to look at the particular investment. Domestic equity index funds, not giving you investment advice in this video, but I'm saying for those who want to hold those things, boy, those taxable accounts are attractive because they have very low yields. So they show up very little in terms of income on the tax return every year, and that can up our premium tax credit. Third tactic to think about is when we get dividends and interest in taxable accounts and we're early retired, maybe we don't reinvest those. Maybe we just take those home and use those to fund living expenses. That way we have just a little bit less in the way or fewer capital gain transactions, just a little bit less on the taxable income. That could be a little bit of a tactic to enhance premium tax credits in early retirement. The fourth one is tactical Roth withdrawals in early retirement and or tactical HSA withdrawals. So there are going to be many Americans who go into retirement with a decent amount of what I refer to as Roth basis, old annual contributions, maybe conversions that are at least 5 years old. These sorts of things can be withdrawn in our early retirement to fund some quantum of our living expenses. We do that so that we're not taking from maybe a traditional retirement account, or we're not taking from a taxable account and tripping a capital gain. So we're taking some of our living expenses from tax-free sources. HSAs can be used in this way. I have a term, previously unreimbursed qualified medical expenses, what I colloquially refer to as HSA PUQME. So you could take a reimbursement of, hey, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I had surgical expenses, I had weekend warrior injury, doctor's visits, whatever it might be. You take a reimbursement from the HSA for that. That's tax-free as a reimbursement of PUQME. And you're good, you're golden, and that's another way of funding some of your living expenses in a way that does not create taxable income, and that can help keep the taxable income low, premium tax credit higher. Fifth thing to think about is being on a high deductible health plan in early retirement. And there's an interesting little nugget in the House tax version of the tax bill right now. And again, this is all subject to change, but this would be helpful for the early retiree. This nugget says that from now on, all bronze ACA plans will be automatically deemed to be high deductible health plans. And so that means what the early retiree can do is sign up for a bronze plan, which by the way keeps premiums lower anyway. And then what you do is you contribute the max to the health savings account. You take a deduction on your tax return, and now you're lowering your income, you're upping your premium tax credit. You're sort of working both sides of the system. You're getting a deduction, you're getting money into a tax advantage account, and oh, by the way, we're lowering our income, potentially upping our premium tax credit. So that's a good one. And then sixth is a tactic in terms of what not to do, and that's Roth conversions. People get confused about this. People think I'm early retired, I should be doing Roth conversions. Well, perhaps not. I do think people tend to overvalue Roth conversions in retirement, not that they don't have their role. But in a world with the 400% federal poverty level cliff on premium tax credits, and in a world where RMDs, required minimum distributions, tend to be lightly taxed, unless we're very wealthy, and even then, it's not all that bad, what might not make a whole lot of sense is a Roth conversion in early retirement. Why do a Roth conversion that could reduce a premium tax credit or eliminate the ability to qualify for a premium tax credit in this world where, hey, the 400% federal poverty level cliff, Roth conversions, when we're on an ACA medical insurance plan, for many Americans, not all, are not going to be advantageous. Now, there are times where our income is so low because we've managed it so well that what we might want to do is a Roth conversion to qualify for a ACA premium tax credit. I don't think that's going to be a big subset of the early retiree world, but it's out there. It's a thing. Some people need to do the Roth conversion, but there are going to be plenty where, all right, we already have a decent amount of income. Maybe we don't do Roth conversions to keep it somewhat modest and we get a decent premium tax credit. And then one thing I'll mention for the self-employed folks out there is if we're self-employed, we may qualify for a solo 401k. If we qualify for the solo 401k, you know what makes sense from a premium tax credit perspective? What makes sense is traditional solo 401k contributions, not Roth contributions, right? If we can use the solo 401k to drive down our income and potentially increase our premium tax credit, that might be the way to go, as opposed to a Roth solo 401k contribution, which doesn't reduce our taxable income and doesn't help us get to premium tax credit qualification. So this is definitely an area where things could absolutely change. But why not start thinking about some good planning that might be beneficial for other reasons and could help us in 2026 max out our premium tax credit as best we can. Let me know what you think about the changing tax and premium tax credit landscape down below. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please mash that like button and subscribe to my channel. I will see you next time.